इसको रोक लो, यहाँ से इससे रोक लें माउस से।
सर किसको?
इसको यहाँ पर रोक लें। गया, स्टार्ट करें।
जी। Hello and Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon. You are listening to Planet FM 87.6 and this is your host Rabia. Today weather is quite pleasant. Hope your Ramadan is going quite well. So today we are going to discuss a book review. I've recently came across this book, a very interesting book. I found it, The Art of Dealing with People. When I read it, I thought I should share it with my audience and with you people, because I've learned a lot from this book. So it's a self-help guide written by Les Giblin, and it is a great and complete source book for those who wish to develop people skills. It would start with a quote, a very interesting quote. I really like this, that you cannot make another fellow feel important in your presence if you secretly feel that he's nobody. So it's very important, and we often forget this fact that that the next person is as important as we are. I would like to raise a question for all of you regarding this book, that what is the most important thing any successful person has. If we look into it, that it is the art of the dealing with people. So this book by Les Giblin tells us about how one should deal with the people around them. While reading this book, I got to know how a mind works in a real conversation, how to handle human ego, and how one can become a master conversationalist. So it explains all the phases and situations of our life, discussions like listening, praising, apologizing, our daily to daily communication with the people, with our in professional setting and in personal setting as well. So I would like to add another important aspect, that this book can be a best book to read for introverts. It is a best guide for introverts, because introverts often feel that a reluctancy. They feel reluctancy to connect with the people. They feel hesitant when it comes to communication. So it is a very great book for introverts or someone who feels lonely in life, as I believe that this is the best book for them to get out of their shell and to get out of their their own aura, and they live in their own world. So it's very important that to read such kind of books, and so learn the techniques, so and apply it in your life, and let's be extrovert and communicate with other people more, you can say that efficiently. So yeah, and it will help them to talk to other people openly. So Les Giblin teaches us how one can make feel happy and comfortable around them. So it is very important that you only communicate with others in a efficient way when you feel comfortable, when you feel listened, when you feel that you are understood by the next person. So the book contents includes understanding human ego, developing an attractive personality, which is very important, because when you have an attractive personality, you catch the attention of people. They want to communicate with you, and then you have to apply those techniques of communication which Les Giblin has told in the book, and convincing others and listening, understanding the perspective of the next person. So this book also tries to develop the quality of people to encounter any problem one can have in real conversation, like when needs to criticize others, or you can say that without when need to you can say that pinpoint anyone or criticism without offending them. That's very important, because sometimes people do not take criticism easily. They get offended, they get angry over it. So it is very important to understand that how to pinpoint someone's mistake without making them offended. or when to apologize, or when one wants to start a conversation. So and sometimes it happens that we start with a conversation with the people of totally different interests. They have entirely different interests, we have entirely different interests, but the communication skills that makes you to go on with that person, that the communication skills that makes you to communicate and to represent your point and your views and your perspective to that person, and same is the case with the next person, so you both understand each other and things can go on. So it tells us some crucial points one must have in mind to make a good conversation into a great one. And every chapter gives you a better understanding about human interaction behaviors, and while mastering them or adopting those methods into your conversation, you can indeed become a master conversationalist. So you are listening to Planet FM 87.6. We are doing a book review. I'll be right back after a short commercial break. Hello and welcome back. You are listening to Planet FM 87.6, and I'm your host Rabia. And today we are, discussing a interesting book review, and a book name is How the Art of Deal with People. So this book has written by Les Giblin. And this book shows us how to achieve our goals and handle the human ego, become a master conversationalist, and most importantly, make others feel good about themselves. Hence, the book gives us the tool to master the art of communication, the art of dealing with the people, and listen others sympathetically. It perhaps the most effective mechanism in the world for getting along with the people, and you can say that trying up with the trying up their friendships and relationships for good. So Les Gibbel mention some important aspects about human relations in this book. And when it comes to human relation, all of us wants two things in life: success and happiness. And the common denominator of all success and happiness is other people. How we make other people comfortable, how we make other people happy, and how we connect with them, and how they connect with us, so that we also feel happy, we also feel peaceful, comfortable, and understand each other. And another thing that the author has discussed is understanding the human ego. Very important. Human ego is something, you can say that the word ego attached has it has a negative connotation attached with it, and because it causes destructive things. But if we look at the other side of this word, it can also cause people to act nobly and heroically. So the important thing to understand is that how to control your ego, and how to deal with the you can say that the matters, or with the people where your ego gets arise, or where you feel offended, or where you feel angry, and how to deal with such situation and understand the ego, and normalize the relations with other, where ego comes, and such kind of issues come. So another thing that the author has discussed is the importance of making other feels important. As I when I start the show, I've discussed the quotation that Les Gibbel has said that if you feel secretly inside about someone, that person is nobody, or that person is not important, that person will get the vibe. So always think that next person is as important as good as you are. because if you think that in your heart, definitely, a positive vibe would generate, and next person would feel important, the way you want to show him. So the importance of making other feels important. Basically, we all are millionaires if we think about it. So we all are millionaires in human relations. So but we don't realize that we possesses it. We possesses this ability of that we are rich. So it is within our power to make people like themselves better, and it is within our power to make them feel appreciated, to make them feel accepted. And we must use this wealth as much as possible, and it will never finish. It famously says that kindness and goodness has a long way. So whenever you make other people feel good, whenever you've been kind with them, it has a long way. That energy generates a connection between you and the next person. So always try to make next person feel important as you think of yourself, that you are important. So another dimension that author has discussed is the controlling the actions and attitude of others. In daily routine life, you can say that we exercise control over others, but do not know that we are exercising this power, and we often use it against ourselves. So we have to control our actions and attitude towards other, in both positive and negative situations. All right. And next thing is that Gibbel has discussed, that is creating good impression. We often say that first impression is the last impression, and it is actually the very true. So to create a good impression, wherever you go, whenever, to whomever you meet, try to make a positive interaction, try to make a positive impression of yourself. So how we can approach others, our first words, our actions, the set of tone for entire discussion decides that how much this relation goes longer. So if we are discussing a business, start off in a business like tone, in a professional tone. And if you wish to be informal, begin informally. So it is very important to give a next person a good impression about you, in whatever capacity you are dealing with. So another thing is that attracting people with acceptance, approval, and appreciation. These three, you can say that A in our life is very important. That to accept the situation, to accept the person, to approve, to give approval to next person, and appreciation. You often feel whenever we use these three A's in our communication, in our relations, in our friendships, in our any kind of terms, the relationship grows, the friendship grows, and the communication grows. So in our lives we have few people, very few people, you can say that, and we know those few people who seem to attract friends and customers naturally, because those people use the AAA formula, that is acceptance, approval, and appreciation. And by using this formula, they feed the three basic hungers of all people, because it's a human nature that feel hungry for appreciation. It's a human nature that feel hungry for approval, for acceptance. So whenever you give the approval, acceptance, and you can say that appreciation to next person, that person feels feels important. And whenever they feel important, they will give you the same, you can say that acceptance and appreciation, and hence the communication skills, and hence the relation grows and grows, and it grows progressively and positively in our lives. So while discussing this some aspects that Les Gibbel has shared in his book, another important thing that he mentioned is that to learn to communicate effectively. One thing that successful people have in common is the skill of using words. that what kind of words you use whenever you are sitting in, any professional and personal capacity. So use appropriate words is a you know is very important. It's a technique very few people who knows. So earning power and word skills are so close to each other, and that we can safely expect to increase our earnings simply by increasing our word power. I would like to add something in it, that Gibble is absolutely right. Today we've seen many journalists who have a great power, speaking skill, who has a great, word skill, and they earn a lot by their, using the good words, by their communication skills, and how to, earn from their word power. So it is very important to communicate effectively and use such kind of words that has effect. Lastly, I would mention the quite important dimension that Gibbel has discussed in his book, and we all need to understand. I think it is very important that criticizing others without offending them, one of the most important failings in human relation is how we attempt to increase our own feelings of self-worth by lowering the self-esteem of others. Sometimes some people they feel good when they criticize other, or they feel their self-esteem gets increased when they criticize other or when they talk about others. But while doing so, they often forget that next person has also a self-respect and has also a self-esteem, which might get hurt by their criticism, by their staunch criticism, by their staunch use of words. So most of the time when we say to people, I'm telling you this for your own good, it is very important to understand we often use this sentence that if I'm criticizing someone, I would say that I'm using this I'm telling you this for your own good. Basically, we are not pointing out their mistake. We are basically by pointing out their mistakes, we are bolster our own ego by doing this. So it is important to understand that if you have to criticize someone, to criticize in a way that they don't feel embarrassed, they don't feel bad about it, and don't bolster your own ego while criticizing others or while pinpointing others. So it is very interesting book to read, and though this book was published in 1968, but its timeless wisdom remains as pertinent today as it was ever over 5 decades ago. So I would request to all of you that must read this book at least once in a lifetime, to understand how to communicate and how to make your relation better with others, and how to deal with the people and the situations in a way that your communication, your positive vibes can create a good impact on others and in your life as well. You are listening to Planet FM 87.6, and this is your host Rabia. I'll be right back after a short break.